Welcome to I Still Call It a Lariat. We are a pro wrestling podcast. My name, Steve Zaff. With me as always, my hetero life mate, Mr. Showtime Michael Wright. How you doing today, Mike?
You know me, Steven. I'm living the dream.
Awesome. As always, we have our weekly content dropping this week. Also, to go along with this, on Friday, March 29th, we will be releasing our best of WrestleMania matches bonus episode.
I
Please,
think
please,
it's the
please.
first time anyone's ever tried to put together a top 10 WrestleMania matches. Brand new.
It's totally the first time. We're so original.
Brand new. Came out yesterday, or actually in 2 days from now.
It comes out in 2 days.
Yeah.
We're dropping it in a few days. It'll be out. It's the first time anyone has ever done anything like this.
It's
No
monumental.
one has ever thought of it. With that said, let's just get right into today's show. All right, first things first, Hall of Fame. We have another inductee into the Hall of Fame. It is Leah Maivia, who is the wife of the High Chief Peter Maivia and the grandmother of The Rock. Leah Maivia was a female promoter in a time when there were not really female promoters. I know Showtime looked it up. She put on a hot summer night in 1985. It is actually the biggest Hawaiian show of all time. There were stars galore. Andre the Giant, Ric Flair was there, Dusty Rhodes, Magnum TA. This woman is being celebrated as a female in a male dominated arena. And I do appreciate that. I hope that this also opens the door for them to start bringing in some of the other territories, especially the ones run by females. What do you think, Showtime?
I think this is amazing. Leah was an absolute boss. There's a great the most of the stuff that I understand from her, the history lesson I got was from the Tales of the Territory. It's definitely worth a listen. But in this episode, they kind of gave a rundown of how she had to take over Polynesian professional wrestling organization, keeping that in Hawaii. Which, if she didn't do that, like think about how different wrestling would be right now. We got a nice. She was at the top of the biggest family tree ever shown on wrestling TV. Maybe not the biggest wrestling, like one of the biggest family trees, but the one shown on TV. So she was absolute boss. This hot summer night was huge. 20,000 people came. She was never welcome in an all man's industry. They didn't want her there. There's some crazy stuff that happens afterwards where it seems like she's kind of set up to be pushed out. And like most of the territories, they all kind of got pushed out for their own reasons. But this is incredibly deserving. She's an absolute boss, the head of the most prestigious family dynasty in all of wrestling. Arguably, not arguably, at this point in time, I don't think you can argue it anymore. So, congratulations. This is absolutely awesome.
Yeah, I can't wait to see who actually inducts her. I would assume it would be Rock the Dwayne, but we'll
Yeah, I
see.
would think so. I mean,
Or
who else would it be?
I wouldn't be surprised if it's maybe even Ava. Have the youngest generation induct the oldest generation. I think that would be kind of cool.
That would be cool. I could see you, like, you have so many people that you could choose from.
So many.
So,
We saw all 70 of them.
yep. Like, I could see them pulling out Fatu, Rikishi. I could see them pulling out. Honestly, I think it's The Rock. Like, let's be real.
It's
Number
gonna be
one,
The Rock.
he's top. He's on the board. He's trying to. He's doing a great job, but he's elevating this whole family to be looked at as the best, the biggest family in wrestling history. So him just kind of being the one that inducts her seems like the right move. That's what I would guess if I have to make a guess.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's the obvious choice. So, news around the wrestling world. The Motor City Machine Guns, their contract is either coming to an end or it has ended. This is a big hit for TNA. I don't know if that means that they're just going to kind of fade off into the sunset. They've been doing this for a minute. And I know Alex Shelley has retired at times, partially retired at least. and then has kind of come back. This might be the sign that they're just looking to maybe just call it a quit. I don't know if they're going to end up anywhere else. I think if they do end up anywhere else, it'll be AEW, but they've been TNA staples for a really long time.
Yeah, I agree with the latter part of that. I think that they end up at AEW. Just a guess. I don't have any insider information or anything like that. I disagree with them hanging it up. I think they're going to make a run in a major promotion. I think you see them in WWE or AEW before it's all said and done. I think that they have the ability to take that spotlight at this point in time, go in there, catch a world tag team title or something like that, so they can kind of add it to their accolades and be looked at as kind of in the prestige that they should, even though they've been so loyal to TNA that like now that TNA has come and gone, and then we're excited for it to come back. Them leaving, it just makes me nervous about TNA in general. They, I don't know what to do. Maybe they're clearing house to bring in a whole new feel and look, and if that's the case, I could support that. But it seems like Anthem is just letting the staples leave when having that like support in the background is a really big deal. So more just I think this is a hurry up and wait situation to see kind of what happens next for TNA and the fallout of this, and we'll kind of go from there.
Just a little side note: the Motor City Machine Guns made me fall back in love with tag team wrestling again. I've always loved tag team wrestling, but their feud with Beer Money back in the day, that best of I think 5 series, that was what brought me back around to like, hey, like tag team wrestling's not dead. This is amazing. This is the exact tag team style wrestling that I wanted to watch. It was like rewatching the Rockers versus the Brainbusters. It was that type of style.
Well, that's why I think that you see them end up like I think they'll go to AEW because that just seems like an AEW move. But I think that their ideal situation is to end up in WWE, get a shot at the titles, win the titles, and then they can get their own little Hall of Fame induction later on because they've been so impactful to tag team wrestling. It just has never really been in one of these big promotions.
Yeah, that would
TNA
be
when TNA was a big promotion, that's where they did it, but now it's not. It feels like almost a distant memory.
if we could get them versus the Uso somehow, or them versus the New Day. I think that'd be amazing.
That'd be awesome. I also think that they put on some great matches with FTR.
I I would
So
love to see them.
like I would love for them to be like that would be cool in this tag team tournament that we'll talk about if they were like a mystery entry into it, and then they go the distance and then lose to FTR would be cool.
Yeah, I'd love to see them against FTR. That would be huge for AEW. Speaking of AEW, Toronto's Dynamite. That was kind of a big deal, wasn't it? I feel like that was bigger than big business.
Yeah, that was big business, wasn't it? The card that was set up to feel like a pay per view, but big business wasn't. This is the show that Monet should have shown up at. I get there's reasons why they did both, but one should have been set up promoted like a pay per view, and the other one shouldn't have been. And then they did it with the wrong ones.
Also, this show was again, this was done like a pay-per-view and it was shown like a pay-per-view, but they showed this on free television. I realize I might be the nitpicker on this one, but you're giving away a lot of stuff for free. And I'm always the one who believes this, and I always say this. The WWE didn't win the Monday Night Wars off of actual ratings. They won it because they were putting on a better product when it mattered. Every pay per view, if you look at that time period during the Attitude and the Monday Night Wars and stuff, that was when they were putting on their best product. And it gave you an excuse to watch the show. That was the reason why I didn't need to watch every WCW pay per view because they gave me Hogan versus Goldberg on Monday Nitro. And that was a big mistake on WCW's part. And I hate to say it, but it seems like this is becoming a big mistake on AEW's part is they're giving away too much for free. You're seeing huge bumps for free. They're not doing choke slams off the top of a ladder at a pay-per-view. They're doing choke slams off the top of a ladder on Dynamite, on Rampage, on Collision.
I feel like booking one on one gives you the playbook, right? You want to build anticipation for the thing that people are going to actually pay for. Now, if they're getting if they were getting monster ratings where they were getting all this ad revenue, I wouldn't critique this in the slightest bit. And I actually don't think that the WCW things always did it wrong. Like, I don't mind Goldberg versus Hogan on Nitro. I don't mind world titles switching hands on a free show because it's the unexpected. You always want people like being like, oh, Hogan's going up against Goldberg on Nitro. There's going to be shenanigans. He's going to get DQ'd and it's going to build to the pay per view. And then you're like, oh shit, he won. Like, didn't see that coming. Don't mind that's kind of subverting expectations. But at the end of the day, you want to build story. You want this stuff to percolate and resonate and marinate and whatever eights that I could throw in there. And like that,
like 7/8.
Yeah, like 7/8. The what's it called the I Quit match was a pay per view level match. Copeland versus Christian Cage is a pay per view level match. That weird ass match should never have been on paid on free TV. You have to pay to see something that weird. So like that one would have been a great one to build towards it. And if you wanted to get that belt to change hands, you could have. I fully understand what they're trying to do with the TNT belt, like trying to make it more prestigious than it needs to be by giving it to these guys that they're in the way that they're giving it. But it's just falling short for me because now, like, how do you top this? Like, how do you top a match like this? You don't just go and say this is extreme rules now instead of no rules. Like you have to always have a weapon in your hand. Like it's hard to top this. And like if that's the blow off the feud, I'm left wanting more. And if you're not going to give me more, you've wasted an opportunity.
Well, and who takes it off of Copeland now?
No,
it was kind of a big question, like who could you get it off of Christian? And obviously Copeland is the big answer, but like who do you need shenanigans to get it off of Copeland now?
Yeah, and Copeland could be and Cage could be the one that does those shenanigans, right? Like he could be the reason why I miss it, and now we reignite this feud. But like you're doing these ebbs and flows that you don't need to do. Where you could have kept this feud hot. I like that match. Like you could have put them in there in a match like that in Toronto, but it had pay per view PLE feel to it all over, and I don't know. Yeah. It just feels like a wasted opportunity.
I agree. I think Christian and Copeland, whatever you want to call it, that should have been a pay per view match. I still believe that this title didn't need to be involved in this feud. I think
we said it before. We don't want to beat a dead horse. It was easy to get rid of it at Collision at the last pay per view, and that would have been great. We could have kept this storyline going this way, and then you could add a couple of these and like let them go back and forth. But now the title's involved, it feels like that's an unnecessary distraction almost to this feud.
Another title that changed hand at that show was Okada beat Eddie Kingston for the Continental Classic title. I forget the full name of the title. I'm sorry. They've got 45 titles. Mm-hmm. So I tend to forget some of them. I think this is an attempt to make this title a bigger deal than what it is. Truthfully, and I've said this to other people throughout the years, I don't think I'm as big of a fan of Okada as maybe I should be, or as other people expect me as kind of a wrestling purist to be. While he's wrestling, he looks very uninterested. I don't see a whole lot of fire in him. I think he's very athletic. I think his dropkick might actually be currently the best dropkick in the business. I'm not taking that away from him. Again, that goes to athleticism. The Rainmaker itself, and I realize that I am the host, owner, producer, whatever of a show called I Still Call It a Lariat. The Rainmaker is a lariat, but his version of it is a weak ass lariat, and I don't like it.
It's not even that. It's just, for me, all of the moves that people kick out of in AEW are so impactful. To actually think that someone would be pinned with that move seems very disbelievable. So disbelievable. I don't know if that's a word, but unbelievable. either way.
It's a word now.
Yeah,
We just made it a word.
I do what I want. So that just kind of it's just not like you lose me. I'm like, okay, a spike pile driver won't put somebody down, but let me throw this noodle at you. So we'll see how kind of all goes through. I have high expectations for him. I think Okada has the ability to really disrupt. They paid him like he should be a big champion. His lackadaisical attitude in ring, I think, actually fits really well with the gimmick they have him with right now. Like I don't care about any of you guys. I'm so much better than everyone else. Look at me in my fresh suit and my $15 million contract. Like I have more important things to worry about. And then giving him this continental title, that I get why they did that as well. They want to put gold on him immediately, so to like legitimize him within AEW. The problem is that they gave him the title that was lumped in with two other titles because it didn't really matter. So he's got a lot of work to do to make it be worth it with all of these other titles. They really should just do like a consolidation of it and get down to a point where there are like 2 or 3 titles per gender that really matter. And even if you have a couple little things off to the side, like the Ring of Honor title, like that title really does matter in Ring of Honor. He just like it just happens to be here too because we collaborate. That's more of the way I want to see it. Like use that to prop up Ring of Honor, not the person who's holding it in a place where it's lumped with a bunch of other titles. Like,
well, that's kind of the thing. I don't need them. I don't mind having Eddie Kingston hold all 3 titles and coming out with all 3 titles. Again, I'm a huge Ultimo Dragon fan. Ultimo Dragon came out to the ring with 9 titles at one point. He was the super junior heavyweight champion around the world. But he legitimately won 9 different titles and he defended 9 different titles. And it was a much different scenario. I feel like they did this and it was forcing this. We're forcing it to try to happen instead of letting this happen. There's just been a lot of things in the last couple weeks of AEW, the last couple years of AEW, really, where I think in the beginning, a lot of fans, myself included, I was trying to give them a pass because I wanted them to do well. I want them to do well. I do. I want this to be, okay, you don't like WWE, you can watch AEW. You don't like AEW, you can watch New Japan. I want that. At the same time, you only get a pass for so long. You can only get me to not pay attention to you ignoring obvious things for so long. And we're getting to the point, we're getting to a 5-year point. 5 years is actually about half the amount of time that WCW was actually around, if anyone's wondering. NWA transitioned to WCW in 1992. WCW ended in 2001. That means that we're at the same point that WCW is doing bigger business. And I realize that this is still a new promotion. It's not running the same way, but I feel like they're already making the same WCW mistakes.
well, let's also be fair. I think they're in a transition phase. Like, I think we might be moving into the second. Like, we talk about eras in wrestling a lot. I think they're moving into their second era right now. And I think that's going to be led by people like Okada and Ospreay and some of the other guys that are really starting to step up right now. That people are excited to watch. With all the, because I think that what they want to do is get out of this indie era, because that's kind of where they started. That's where they started. They were like, we're the pro version of the indies. And I think that hopefully they'll move away from that. It's not just a bunch of spot junkies that are going left and right here and throwing these crazy moves. They have the talent to do some really cool stuff. Right now is actually the time to fumble the ball a little bit because everyone is kind of focused on Mania. It's the biggest sport storyline out there right now. It's what everyone's excited about. I actually like, playing Monday Morning Quarterback. I know you want to get Okada in here as fast as possible, but maybe we save that till after Mania when people are like, all right, I can chill on this. So I know The Rock's going to be gone until SummerSlam. I know that this isn't going to happen until this. Now I can kind of pick my head up and be like, what else has been happening around me? So, which honestly, I think Nick Namath is doing that right now too. Like, so the 2 titles that he's going to add to the Triple Crown that we're excited about is happening all after Mania, when like it's almost time where everyone can take like a collective exhale, look around the industry and like what's actually exciting and what's actually fun, and then you're gonna be like, oh, he's got these two matches coming up where he's gonna potentially win both of them and have his own creation of a triple crown. Let's get excited about that. Now that Mania is WWE is coming out of the Mania hangover kind of thing. So that's what I'm like. That's kind of what could have happened here to make this a little bit better. But at the end of the day, like this could be a transition period. Them getting their feet back underneath them as they're kind of getting smacked left and right from WB, who are kind of growing in ratings week after week, where they're staying a little bit more stagnant. They're not like last I checked. I haven't checked recently, but AEW wasn't going down recently. They were staying stagnant, which is still okay. Like I'm keeping the people. And actually, when
they went a little down. They get a little bit of a bump on the ratings, at least on Dynamite. I'm not sure about the other two shows, but part of it is this sounds really silly, but they follow the Big Bang Theory. And the Big Bang Theory goes about a minute over every week. And it gives them like a 200,000 person bump. So it makes them look better than they are. So when their average is like, I think their average overall has been just about 800,000 viewers every week live. The problem with that is again, you get an immediate bump because the immediate viewership is, I think, just under 1 million viewers from Big Bang Theory. Reruns. Again, reruns are getting 1 million people, and a live wrestling show is not.
Well, I mean, syndication is big business. There's a reason why it's all out there. It makes so much money. A lot of people go back to those. The reason why like Friends is the number one streaming show on Max these days is because people love going back to relive the nostalgia. But what I did hear was when Collision followed Dynamite, it was actually the highest rated Collision in a while. Where you had kind of like an audience that was leading into a place where they would like it. Like that does feel like it's all one show almost, like one leading into the other one from the same promotion. But they did see huge ratings of people just hanging around from the Copeland cage match going into Collision because they moved it, I believe, because of March Madness.
I think so. Yeah, I think that makes sense.
The like March Madness is such a big deal. Even the women's basketball it still pulls in ratings at this point in time that could trump a lot of these like secondary shows easily. So like that's kind of our summary of what kind of went down there. There's some cool things happening, though. I do think that like everything's on a simmer right now. We'll see kind of what comes out of this stuff. I'm hoping that they kind of readjust. If you notice, they're kind of moving some pieces around. People are doing face and heel switches. Osprey is now looks like true baby face, no longer a heel. But she came in as a heel, and they're like, now people like him too much. We need a really good baby face in this promotion. Let's go this way, bro.
But he's still with Callis. Like that's the weirdest thing. Like they need to get some of these people into different spots. I know you said like he's cutting babyface promos. He is absolutely cutting a babyface promo. He's calling people beautiful and he means it. He's not being it's not being facetious whatsoever. It's just a matter of he's saying it. And I actually love I heard someone say we're not sure if the bruv is going to get over. I like his promos. I think they aren't the traditional pro wrestling promos, even though they kind of are. I think he has the energy and the enthusiasm and he believes what he's trying to say. I think one of the things I would like is if maybe someone, again, an Arn Anderson or a Jerry Lynn, or honestly, I think Arn Anderson or Jake the Snake Roberts would be the best guys to sit down with him and be like, hey, you have a few of the things that we can't teach you, but what we can teach you is this, so that the promo just flows a little bit better. I don't think anyone's ever taught him how to, I don't want to say do a promo, but how to sell a show. And he has all the things that you can't teach somebody, right? Like he has this great energy when he comes out there and the fans are in with him, and you can't teach that. He has it. but he doesn't have that, like, that little bit that again, that little extra to make it extraordinary, right? Like, he does such a
Listen,
good
bro.
job. And if we can just get that little twist, the little twist, that little bit where you have Arn or Jake be like, hey, throw this in there or talk about this specifically. And I
Listen,
think,
bro. You gotta back off my boy here because I'm all in. Remember, I'm all in now. This has changed. Breaking news from last week. I'm in. The we're talking out of both sides of our mouth in this, and I fully appreciate it. And I'm cracking up on us, Stephen, you and I both, because we're like we want to see new and exciting things. We don't want to just be able to predict everything that happens. But you're not doing the things the way things are supposed to be done. So do it that way and go back to the playbook. So I get it. We're hypocrites. Sue me. Please don't sue me. But
that's just called being a wrestling fan. Again,
that's
jaded wrestling fans.
again, I do what I want, and I'll keep doing this. I like his uniqueness of the way his style is going on right now. He's young, and I think that he's learning how to do this. I agree with a lot of things you're saying, with getting to with the staunch veterans in the back who can bring him to a whole nother level, and I'm with you with that stuff. Though I want him to be able to go and do his thing right now. I think he's figuring out exactly who he is, and like that's what the quick heel turn, the face turn happened was he got there. He was so over and like, oh, well, let's quickly make him a face. They're doing that with a couple of people where they're moving some, like one of the tag teams just moved over to being a heel when they jumped Billy Gunn. And so they're trying to like move pieces around. Like I said, I think this is like them setting up the next wave of what they really want to do some long-term booking there, hopefully. And hopefully they'll stick to it and not just listen to all the wrestlers in the back being like, nah, I don't want to do that. Let's just do it my way. So that's the way I think this is going to end up going down. And I think that he's going to be a huge star for a long time. Polishing, yes, but I don't think he needs to change anything drastically. He's going to come in here and be an absolute stud.
No, I don't think he needs to change anything drastically whatsoever. I don't think that's the issue. Like I said, it's a tweak. It's when he's trying to sell the show, he just needs a little bit more focus. I think that's the word I'm really looking for. He just needs a little bit more focus on the show that he's trying to sell.
Do you know what we got a little bit more focus in on right now? Was we actually have a tag team tournament bracket for AEW.
What?
Which, right? It only took us, 3 weeks to get any kind of semblance of who was in this tag team tournament?
Well, let's see. The tag team titles were vacated on the 6th, the 5th or the 6th. We're almost a full month out, but we have a tag team tournament bracket. That's amazing.
So with one team surprisingly not there
is the BCC, the Blackpool Combat Club. So Moxley and Claudio are not involved in it. I've heard that Moxley's banged up, which just means that, he's living his life because he bleeds every day. But Claudio, he also has a lot of touring, I've heard. He's supposed to be in Japan. He's supposed to be in a couple other places. And I think the plan is to have them to eventually face the winner of this tournament, which, if the winner of this tournament is FTR, I'm in. I don't know if that's the realm we're going in. Currently, the brackets, though. We have the Young Bucks versus Private Party. That is going to be a very, very high-flying match. There's going to be a lot of spots in that. We have the Undisputed Kingdom, which is Taven and Bennett, who are the Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions, facing the winner of the Wild Card number 1 match, which is the Don Callis family, which is Powerhouse Hobbs, and I'm not even sure who the other guy is. I'm sorry. It's Fletcher. So it's going to be Fletcher and Hobbs versus the Best Friends, which appear to be Orange Cassidy and Jesus, I can't even see who it is.
Yeah, it's blocked out. I'm looking at it right now. There's a big logo over top of it.
Yeah, it's going to be the Best Friends, though. It's not going to be the Kentucky Gentleman. I can't think of the other gentleman's name now because they just keep using their mom's minivan. We have Ricky Starks and Big Bill versus Top Flight. Ricky Starks and Big Bill were who Sting and Darby beat for the tag team titles and then never got a rematch. So I'm not surprised that they don't have to go through a wild card. We have the Infantry versus the House of Black in the wild card 2 spot. And the winner of that, which I think I saw already that I think the Callis family did already beat the Best Friends. And I'm sorry that we're a little late to the party on this one, but I believe Infantry already beat House of Black, and they're going to be facing FTR.
Well, we wanted to talk about this 2 weeks ago when we heard about a tournament. So,
and we just got a bracket. So we are following up with our own due diligence at this point. We apologize for fumbling the ball a little bit, but we're picking it back up. Right now, I don't think it's a secret. My favorite to win, or who I want to win, would be FTR. The only way I see FTR not winning this is if the Bucks end up taking this. But I think the only way that you do that is also if FTR is somehow leaving and going across the street.
Yeah, if they're leaving, that's the only way I see them not winning this, because you got FTR BCC rematch for the titles written all over this. Not having them in here, them already beating the ones who won this, gives them immediate number one contender conversations. The one storyline I would love to kind of see is the Undisputed Kingdom upsetting the Young Bucks and then upsetting FTR. So then you kind of use it to help elevate Ring of Honor to be like, their champions came in here and now they're dual champions, and you kind of have a little bit more crossover. You can see that being a fun storyline, and then having a nice little program with them and FTR go back and forth, and then they'll ultimately drop to FTR anyway. So that's the one storyline in here that I like. But the same thing with this tag team tournament and the one from WWE that's going on right now is there's just not enough spotlight on building up these tag team, the tag team division, the tag teams, because like I feel like as soon as you see them, you expect to know who's going to win this. Like I'm looking at this right now, and it's down to 2 people with the finals, which is the Young Bucks and FTR, because of course it's going to be, and then we'll go from there.
I actually agree with you with the Undisputed Kingdom, and not because they're the Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions, but because there's this part of Tony that really wants to make the Undisputed Kingdom this really big heel stable, and I could see them just throwing them the tag team titles and be like, oh, that's proof enough that they're as big as they could be. I think doing it to promote Ring of Honor is a better idea. I think that's the better promotional idea, but I don't think that's going to be the way that they promote it. I don't think that's how they're going to try to do it. And I think your writing in this is better than what they would try to do.
No,
because that make I'm not trying to blow you up too much on this one. I hate floating your ego. I've known you for too long to do it, and I hate doing it. Yes, give me the cute face.
Keep going.
But the truth of the matter is what you just said is what I want to happen. I don't think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, I'm throwing out scenarios. I don't love the fantasy book. We try to avoid that. We'll probably do a big fantasy booking show and start with, we don't like the fantasy book, so here's our fantasy booking.
But here's our fantasy booking. I'm going to disagree with that. I love to fantasy book.
I don't like to on this podcast.
Yes, I don't like to fantasy book I like to fantasy book in some form of reality though, or what I think should happen. I don't like the fantasy book in this world called make believe. I like to do it on Earth, where we live, where AEW is going to give the tag team titles to the Young Bucks. I'm going to throw that one out there.
I hope they don't. That might be a nail in the coffin for me. I'm giving them all the benefit of the doubt. It's rewind a couple minutes, and I'm giving them all the benefit of the doubt right now. If they do that, that would devastate me and be like, come on, now you really are pulling from the WCW playbook. Like, let's just give the title to Hogan, because why not? Let's finger poke of doom. That's how they win this. They do the part 2 of the finger poke of doom, and we're in good shape.
The Bucks beat who's in here? Ricky Starks and Big Bill. Finger poke of doom. Ricky Starks and Big Bill go back to WWE.
Finn. Just fade to black.
So going from one tag team, the tournament, to a tag team match at least. SmackDown had the Roman Cody segment going on. I thought this was really good. I think everything that they're doing with the main events for WrestleMania is pretty spot on. We're about as close to perfect booking for this, or at least perfect build for the booking as we can get. I liked that Roman initially called Cody an idiot, and then by the end of the segment, he proves that he's not an idiot, that he wouldn't come here alone just because you said you were an honorable man. I really dug everything about this. I loved everything about this promo. I would like it to get a little bit more, again, emotional, maybe a little bit more off the cuff. But overall, I think what they're doing is what has to happen.
I hated everything.
That's
I
not
would have
true.
made every single decision backwards. I would have sent Cody by himself because he's that honorable. Knowing what happens at Raw, I understand why they didn't do it, but there is a gray line in this, and I've talked numerous times before where I don't think Seth and Cody are actually the good guys anymore. I want Cody to be that white meat baby face at this moment in time, and he isn't. He's stooping to the level of the bad guys, and I hate it. Like, I want him to be the honorable one. Like, and he could even say, "I knew you weren't coming here by yourself, but I still did it because that's the type of person I am." And that's when everyone's like, "Yeah, Cody," and then and they kind of go from there. So like I'm also a little whiny about stuff going on because, and I know it's the road to WrestleMania right now, and we're trying to build WrestleMania, but there is no wrestling on any of these shows anymore. A couple matches here and there. I somehow even missed one on Raw. I don't know how I missed it while I watched the whole thing, but the matches that were in the show were just kind of there. Even the ones that I wanted to see win, like I kind of wanted to see the authors of pain win against the Street Profits, not because I don't like the Street Profits, but because I think that the authors of pain would look really cool in the match that they're building up. Like, I know I'm like, oh, we have 12 people in this match. There's not enough room for everyone. So let's put the two biggest dudes out there in this ring and take up more space. But I just think they could do some cool spots in this match that would turn it into something different. Where a lot of these ladder matches, in the past, they have these guys who fly through the air with the greatest of ease. Give me two guys who fly through the air, might put a hole in the ring. And now we have a whole different dynamic, which makes these matches unique. And that's what I would like to have seen in this situation. And then like Austin Theory and Grayson Waller essentially jobbing out and then just sneaking the win. Like I don't know what they're doing, these guys. I'm starting to have a sneaking suspicion that they're going to steal one of these titles just because it's funny at this point, just to give them something to do.
Just to
ruin
everything.
Yeah, well, but like if you have the right storyline coming out of it, like if you have Paul retaining with the U.S. title, Austin Theory and Waller win the tag titles, and there's still this little like trio faction that they have running right now, and they can start taking over SmackDown. Now I'm like, okay, now I'm slightly interested. Can we make Waller and Theory look a little strong against somebody? Like put them over someone like the Authors of Pain in a way where they win a decisive victory rather than just I got squashed and got lucky at the end. Then you start changing that dynamic, giving the heat back to these guys. I know a lot of people are speculating that Austin Theory is going to go face or something like that, which I don't know why we'd want that. I'd rather Waller go face than Austin Theory. He doesn't come off to me as the best face out there. So like that kind of storyline I can see kind of taking off and being fun. So, but I know I'm being overcritical of some of these promos because they.
Oh my lord!
They're gonna stop me mid sentence here. Hey, Scarps, welcome to the
What's
show.
up, boys? How we
Welcome to the
doing?
party,
If it isn't Mon Frere,
Oh
So,
boy,
so
can
Scarps,
can you
we're
guys
talking
hear
about
me?
SmackDown. We
we can
can.
hear you.
We're talking about SmackDown. What do you think right now? No.
Yeah, let's continue what you guys
Right
were
on the
talking
spot.
about. Let's okay now.
So I know I'm being hypercritical of the segments right now because they're taking so long to have like no wrestling within it to balance it out. And I come for the wrestling. I stay for the segments. I'm not really getting into the wrestling right now, it's making it harder for me to show up. So that's just my only spot. The segment itself was fine. It's nothing compared to anything Cody Rock has done together. Like even Rock coming in and whispering a couple words to him felt more impactful than the whole segment between Roman and Cody. So
Yeah, so I obviously want to apologize for being a little late to the chat, boys, but looks like Rock's stealing the thunder again, as he always does. That's kind of his go-to.
I mean, he's the Rock. Is it really stealing thunder, or is he just Zeus?
he's right.
That's
Actually,
what I'm
interesting.
I think he's Black Adam, actually.
He is Black Adam
Yeah,
Also Hercules. That counts.
and Hercules.
he is Hercules.
Son of Zeus.
He's also
Is
the
he-
Tooth Fairy.
Whoa! We don't talk about that. But you're right. So on Raw, he comes down, whispers 3 words, and goes back. Which again, we've just done an extensive look at WrestleMania, and WrestleMania has some big entrances. The entrances that Roman Reigns and The Rock are doing right now are longer than most of those Mania entrances, and it's taking him forever to walk to the ring to whisper a couple words to Cody and not say anything.
And then leave.
Stop wasting my time. Just get to the ring.
I mean, if we've been looking back at a whole bunch of past manias and stuff like that. I mean, you remember when Andre the Giant came out on that little cart,
On that high low.
just boop, 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 boop.
Still beat The Rock to the ring.
And it was a shorter entrance.
Oh my god, that's ridiculous.
I'm sure during the Mania review episode we'll talk about that entrance because I do have some points on that I love. But I do agree they're taking so long. They're taking so long for everything. Yeah, I think I looked at one point. I almost texted you Showtime while I was watching Raw, and I was like, "Why is this segment taking 20 minutes?"
So I'm going to start next week for the Raw and SmackDown of next week. I'll do a timestamp. Amount of time that entrances take up, the amount of time of wrestling matches, and the amount of time of promos. I guarantee you that entrances take more time than matches because I don't count the times when they go to commercial break mid-match. I know this is not something new, but it drives me absolutely bonkers when we leave the main event, the actual wrestling match of the main event, to go for 2 minutes.
They go
commercial, and sometimes
every match on WWE television. You get 2 minutes to a break. You can almost formulate it to or set your clock to it. 2 minutes to a break.
You boys ever brush your teeth during somebody's entrance and come back and they're still walking out?
Sure.
Yes,
fill your
because that's a little absurd.
Yeah, I filled up a 32-ounce water glass with it.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
I know AEW does the picture-in-picture, which is better, but it's not much better in my opinion because I'm constantly distracted by that amazing advertising for whatever weird thing they're trying to sell me at the time.
Buy the bike.
Buy the bike. Carnival Cruises. Not a sponsor, but they could be.
Oh, look, dirt.
We went right from the 3 words from Cody and The Rock. We had a Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins, CM Punk, 3-way, just pure promo segment. It was so hot. I really like this. This just proves to me again that what Showtime has been saying
is
correct. I have been giving you way too many props today already.
Stop it.
This is way more adulation than I ever want to give that guy.
Can I say that it's because I'm always right?
That's not true.
You
Wow.
see the name?
Wow.
Just saying, I'm always right.
That's just not true.
I'm so glad
right.
I called in today, boys.
Yeah, aren't you glad you got in on this? This is
You missed some good
it
stuff.
stopped
in
being
the
I
first
still
half.
call it a Lariat to I still call it Mr. Showtime, Mikey Wright.
Go on.
Oh boy.
You're Steven, I'll do it back to you. You're completely right. I've been right the whole time. This segment,
Crazy.
this segment, I actually think that this segment was better than Cody's segment. Cody's segment was really, really good. I really enjoyed it, even with the Rock coming down with that entrance. The actual when they're actually in the ring doing the promo itself, I thought all of that stuff was great. I like this one better. These three guys, I'm starting to get more and more enthralled with this, mostly because I think I'm right, and I hate to put it that way, but I'll be really disappointed if I'm not, and they go a different direction. I'm like, this doesn't make it. Then why did I do all this beforehand? But with Punk coming down in his hometown, dropping knowledge on people like with his bionic arm, I think that was great. He's giving Cornette some love.
He did give Cornette some love.
We're breaking down the walls here, not the walls of Jericho, but other walls of the promotions.
That was insane. This is just another reason for Cornette to trend. And don't get me wrong, I love me some Jimmy Cornette, but man, apparently all these people that they say hate him, they still listen to him.
Bro, Cornette's always trending. Come on.
So I love that. They also tried to make he tried to get Drew McIntyre to say Voldemort's name.
That was amazing. That was actually amazing. I loved it.
So like that promo was great. It was actually one of the ones I liked the most from CM Punk. He's got obviously some legendary ones, but like him coming back trying to stir the pot. I loved how he set up McIntyre to kind of draw some stuff out, but McIntyre didn't. When he's like, when I want to talk to you, I do it right here in the ring, and I don't do it when you're not around. And then his music hit immediately. So McIntyre is like, I'm not afraid of you, dude. I'm going to come down that way. He stayed on the outside. I think that's more him just trying to keep his distance. Like I'm not taking that as I'm afraid of Punk. It's more I'm afraid that I'm going to hurt you again, and I actually want to get you in the ring at this moment in time. Punk is a liar. I never had to wear my another man's name on my shirt to sell merch. Well, I know. I just saw a picture 5 minutes ago that had the Big Show's name on it. I don't know does that count as a name because he was wearing it when he broke his hand. So let's just say I know everyone hindsight like history is however you want to interpret it, I guess. But
history is written by the winners.
Sure, and so I think for me, every time we talk about one of these segments, it goes back to my main takeaway that I've said every single time. Rollins is in the middle of a heel turn. There's absolutely no reason why he should have sucker curb stomped. Is that the way to say it? Sucker punched, but in curb stomp form.
Well, he
McIntyre
sucker super kicked him first.
Yeah. He super kicked him, then curb stomped him, and that's guys. I don't know if you've ever watched wrestling before, but I'm going to break something down for you.
I have not.
I've never seen it.
The bad guy typically sneaks up on the good guy and does stuff like this. The good guy rarely sneaks up on the bad guy and super kicks him in the back of the head.
But it does happen.
No, it doesn't. It never
has happened
before. That wasn't a heel turn.
I mean, look, bro, if you talk about every wrestler, eventually they turn. Realistically.
100%. We're just in the
except for
middle
Ricky
of
Steamboat.
a heel turn.
That's yeah, you're right.
Listen, never happened.
I'm also going to say, normally if a babyface does sucker punch the heel or sucker punches somebody, it's in retaliation for something that has been done to him. And Drew hasn't laid a finger on Seth Rollins yet.
No, but I got to say, boys, I'm shocked that Seth Rollins is a babyface because he is a tool.
Yeah.
So
what's the term? Showtime.
Listening to him talk, bro, I'm like, you're a heel,
Turd
bro. All the
burglar.
way.
He is a turd burglar.
Yeah.
Gloves up to his elbows, man.
Just stealing turds.
I dig this. Like I said,
Oh, boy.
like there has been
Welcome back, Scarps.
Hey, thanks.
There are wrestlers in history that I look back now and I'm like, I was never a fan of that guy. And I have to like revise that sentence. I was never a fan of that guy in a sense that I was rooting for him to win, but I loved watching him lose. And that's Seth Rollins for me. I think that he's talented, but he's got that face that I just want to see someone stick a foot in and just kick him into next week.
Just sock him right in his talk hole.
Right in the fotch. Like, get him. And so, like
if someone could punch him the way that his wife punched Dominic, that'd be awesome.
That would be awesome. But at the end of the day, like that's what he's building. That's character he's building right now, and I hope that he is. And it's not just I'm an asshole that everyone loves, because that's not how it should work. Please don't let it be that way, because then it's going to do a trend, and I'm going to hate everybody.
You're gonna see Michael Wright with the little anus on his t-shirt. Everybody loves an asshole.
Everyone loves one.
That's it.
Jesus. Speaking of assholes,
hey guys,
Dom and Nick. I don't know which one actually did it, but they cost Rey Mysterio a match. So we're rehashing this feud from last year again. Showtime has gone on record as saying he doesn't like repeat Mania performances, but also
that's the next show. Don't spoil the next show. Come on, man.
Fair enough.
Get it together.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Showtime hates repeat Mania performances. Other side of this, he also loves Dominic Mysterio.
I do. He's great. Isn't he great? Again, now I'm learning from my past mistakes. I love watching Dominic Mysterio get punched in the face by Becky. Like, that was great. And that was a real punch. Go back and watch that punch. She punches him in the face.
Yeah, she socked him right in the suck hole.
His jaw did like a cartoon, like, woo. It was awesome.
It was amazing. I thought it was a very small segment, or a very, very small intro to what will probably end up being what happens at Mania. I see this being Dom and probably like JD versus Ray, or Dom and Phantasmo versus Ray and Dragon Lee. I think is going to probably end up being what it turns into. If that is what happens, it's honestly right now my least interesting Mania match, unfortunately, just because we're only about 2 weeks out and we're just trying to figure out something to do with these guys.
That's what she said.
Perfect.
I would like to see, honestly, I'd like to see Dom come out and do an open challenge kind of thing. And then like Braun Strowman come back out. Just someone who, like, I don't know if he's ready. I'm just using him as an example, where someone who's just a monster comes out and takes that challenge. I'm like, oh yes, now I get to watch Dom get his ass kicked.
Just kill him.
Oh, just take him down. Like, give me 12, 13 minutes of it. Like, I don't want a 30-second match here. Like,
I want him to murk him for like 8 to 10 minutes at least.
Let Dom get out there and show that he can actually wrestle and hold his own, and everyone being like, oh, wow, I'm so surprised that Dom can actually wrestle. Even though I've seen it countless times, I just hate your face so much that I forget that you're actually good at this game.
It's just something about your face. If you can change that.
Again, you're doing a great job, but your face, I kind of just want to punch.
I guess the best we can do is just take that information and do whatever it is that I think is the interpretation of that.
And do you know who I think has a pretty punchable face these days? And I think Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson might agree with me, is Cody Rhodes. Because he got his face punched quite a few times.
It's the neck tattoo for me.
It is the neck tattoo.
Yeah.
It's this segment. I don't disagree that The Rock should be able to beat the hell out of Cody when he blindsides him like that. It's the fact that Cody beat the hell out of the rest of the bloodline literally before The Rock hit him. Him and Jimmy were pretty evenly matched, and then he hit Solo one time. That was it. That's the enforcer of the bloodline. And you hit him
hasn't
once.
been able to enforce anything in a long time.
No, he
He's
hasn't
lost
done
every
anything.
match.
Yeah, he's
everything he's done.
He is not the street champion. He is not any champion. The Rock, on the other hand, Rock the Dwayne Johnson,
the final boss.
Yeah, is becoming a video game character by this point.
I mean, he is one already, but that's okay.
That's true. Also,
that is fair.
Yeah, for varying people, whether you say Black Adam or Hercules or the Tooth Fairy.
Or just The Rock. I mean, he is a video game character.
For Black Adam, though, in his contract, he's not allowed to lose anything, even in the video games. So
that's also true. I am happy with the way that this went about. It was very cool to see the beatdown. I will say this. It's going to be weird when Rock and Cody do officially stand across the ring from each other and they're actually just in gear, because Cody, who is not that small of a dude, is going to look like a child compared to The Rock. He is that big. He's bigger than he was at any point during his wrestling career.
Substantially bigger.
Substantially bigger. Like, he's like a legit 280 right now, and that's scary.
He's a lot more aerodynamic too. No,
I'll spoil two things.
Bald head.
There's two things that I plan on mentioning in the WrestleMania podcast. Again, coming out on Friday, the 29th. You guys should
spoiler alert.
But the two things that I was most surprised on were, one, watching Ric Flair throw chops and not hearing everybody go woo. That happened once upon a time. I don't know if you guys know this, but there was a time where he would throw chops and they wouldn't woo. And it's just like, hey, where'd it go? Why is the sound broken? Did I mess something up here? And the second one is how small The Rock looked compared to how big he is now. He is so big.
He's
compared
massive
to who he used
now.
to be.
And he was never a small guy. That's the weird thing is.
Not at all. Like,
yeah, but I mean, he's also been in the gym every day for the past 40 years.
Yeah,
he looks like he ate himself.
He actually ate Kevin Hart.
He did a fusion with somebody, and now he is definitely gone to the next level.
Was that fusion with Ronnie Coleman?
It was with an actual Brahma bull.
Yeah, it was an actual bull.
Yeah, like you ever see the memes with like that muscled up bull? Like that's who he fused with.
Yeah.
This beatdown, I love that it was brought to us by Wheatley Vodka. I don't know if you guys noticed that. As soon as they kicked open that wall, it was like positioned perfectly there.
Perfect.
And you know, this whole thing about The Rock is allowed to do what he wants to and no one else does, I think is the wrong narrative. And I think that everyone is hooking onto it right now. And I think that this is the narrative. I talked about it last week. Scarps, I know that you listened to last week's podcast 2 or 3 times, even though that you couldn't be here with us. But last week I had
13 actually.
I knew it was a baker's dozen, obviously. The thing that I mentioned last week was later on we're going to look back at this moment in time to see a new era of wrestling coming in. It's not like they're not going to ever go back to the Attitude Era. And everyone's like, the Attitude Era is back. People. Attitude Era is not back. It's not back. It's never coming back. That was a moment in time. The wrestling industry doesn't go backwards. It only goes forwards. This is a new era where it's going to take some of the things that really worked in the Attitude Era and do other things better too. We're going to see more blood. We're going to see more cursing. And it's not going to just be The Rock. The Rock is testing the waters. They're giving someone at this level to be able to test the waters so people like Cody and Seth can say the word shit on TV. And so we can have blood in matches where it's impactful, but not on every single match in the card. I'm thinking we're never going to over-sexualize women again in this situation. We're never going to end up going out there and be on the more lewd side, which I think it was just as important within the Attitude Era as any of the other stuff I just talked about with the cursing and the blood. I just think you're going to see a little bit more of a more mature, I guess Steve, you had said it, more real era coming up, and that's what I think we're starting to see. Because you could see it with the Rock does stuff that no one else is allowed to do, and then Cody pushes the envelope a little bit. So like it's more of a push and take as they're getting their sponsors, their advertisers, their Fox and Fox and USA, right? USA.
Yes.
More comfortable with this kind of content, but they're not going to get this huge backlash and lose a bunch of sponsors and whatnot. Though if they want to lose the Prime sponsor on the Mania mat, pay-per-view, PLE mats, I'm okay. You could lose that sponsor, but that's the one that's going to be like, we're here to stay. We support you guys, whatever you do.
Yeah, you realize though, listen, this is going to transcend into one day you're going to see a wrestler in the ring, and they're going to be like, blah blah blah, just hit him with the $5 footlong, brought to you by Subway. Like,
actually, I would pop for that gimmick. Give me the over sponsored guy.
The guy's name is just Subway.
Yeah, like, just I'm the ad man. It's no longer Mr. Ass. It's just,
oh my God,
Mr.
look,
Ass.
here he comes. It's the Burger King.
Yeah, exactly. He goes in with the crown. You get on your birthday. I would pop for that. And the $5 footlong is a fantastic finisher move.
I feel like that one's now just that's it, bro. There we go.
That's your new finisher move. It's the $5 footlong.
The $5 footlong.
To agree with what Showtime was saying and how I think we're going into a more realistic era, I honestly think that we're seeing this turn into a little bit more of, I think Triple H has been watching old, like, Mid-South wrestling. We're getting more realism, more sport to it. We're not gearing everything towards a 10-year-old or an 11-year-old. Again, wrestling fans are jaded because it's a fan base that became fans when we were kids, and we wanted it to grow up with us, and they're still gearing it towards kids. Again, very much like Star Wars. There's no difference in that aspect of that to me. Is we just want the product to grow with us a little bit. And I think by giving us, I agree, we're never going to see an Attitude Era again. First of all, they'll get canceled for it. It'll absolutely happen. If they tried to, do the stuff in that they did in '97, the show would just never exist again.
That was such a good year, though. I mean, that was like, and like you guys said, though, for the time, the Attitude Era was perfect. It hit everything. I mean, that's what, just talk about the rebellious youth of the time. And yeah, were women hypersexualized? Absolutely. And we'll never see stuff like that again, nor should we, to be honest. They're athletes, and they should be treated as such. They're world-class athletes. But the Attitude Era was spicy. It was phenomenal.
Trish Stratus.
I mean, come on, guys. I didn't want to say it, but she's an international treasure.
International treasure.
It's true.
Don't deny who you are. We want all of you, Mr. Scarps Esquire.
We've already seen the Attitude Era. I can go back on Peacock and watch it whenever I want to, like literally every one of those shows. So leave that there. Let's evolve. Let's go into the next era. And I think that's what we're starting right now. And I'm
dare we call it the new era, where everybody just wears snapbacks?
I saw today someone called it
because that's a hat brand. You see? Okay, thanks, guys.
I don't think this is new era. There's a non-sponsor on the back, so I had to turn it around. I heard someone call it the Renaissance era, which I kind of dug. We've called it a few times, like a new golden age, and I thought the Renaissance era could be cool.
Yeah, dope.
But we'll see kind of how it all comes to fruition. I have no idea. This could just be the final boss era. Like, we already got The Rock naming a whole show SmackDown, so he could just be this whole era.
It's not going to be WWE anymore. It's just going to be The Rock.
The Rock. Final boss.
Final boss.
It's Rock Wrestling Entertainment.
Jeez. God, I hope not. But still, also, I kind of hope so. I don't know. It's very weird.
I mean, I'd be in.
Boys, we are going to do something different this week. Instead of Esquire's inquiries, we are going to hit the mailbag. That's right. We actually have a mailbag this week. So we're going to switch things up a little bit.
Yep, we got a mailbag question. We have our first one. It comes from Christian, which is really excited.
What's up, Christian?
So what?
Christian, we appreciate you.
We sure do.
We acknowledge you even.
Acknowledge Christian. And so what he wanted to ask was, what are your thoughts about what's going on with MJF right now? So in AEW, they've taken down all of his merch. He seems to not be affiliated. So what are we thinking is going to happen next with him? And do you think there's a possibility of him showing up at Mania?
I don't think he shows up at Mania. That's just me. I think the show is too star-studded already, that bringing in MJF, who I do fully believe is the present and future of pro wrestling, I think it drowns him out. So if you were to bring him in, I don't think Mania would be the right choice. I think if you do it at all, it would be the Raw after Mania. I think that's the better option. And that's if it comes in now. I would,
or even SummerSlam.
I would wait almost until then. And who's to say that I don't think he should go to NXT, but I don't think that's completely out of the realm of possibility for him either. Is they might want to see him have some of those matches with those guys, or bring him in because NXT just signed that new deal with the CW, I believe. And that might be a situation where, hey, this is how we're going to build the fan base up and make sure that NXT is its own brand on there.
Yeah, I think it's a good take. I think we will do a little bit more speculating on who will show up at Mania. Probably surprising. I mean, based on that segment right now, Charlotte Flair, the beatdown of Cody, the trucks that they were showing us. They always want to have like little secret Easter eggs out there, right? Charlotte Flair, Cena, and Austin are all on the table right now because we just saw their faces. Not saying that's exactly who we think is going to be there. I'm sure there's at least one or two red herrings in there. But at the end of the day, we'll speculate a little bit more. I tend to agree with you, Steven. I don't think we'll see him there, but the Raw after Mania is probably a really good spot for him to show up. I think there's a couple names floating around for the Raw after Mania too. Last year was kind of disappointing, if I remember correctly, where there was only like one person who showed up and everyone was like, "That's it? That's all I got."
I think the last 2 years have been a little disappointing, honestly. Like the Raw after Mania used to be so hot, and it kind of started with the Raw after 29 was like the first one that they really like flipped the switch on, because that was when Dolph won the world title and they did all that stuff. And I'm a little partial just because that was the Mania that we were all at too. But also it just felt like that was really where almost like the international crowd took over the arena that night. And it was really cool. Like that was where you got all the songs and stuff, and they were singing Fandango's music. And then it kind of it just became a thing for a couple years. So who knows? It might even be resetting where the Raw after Mania is the Raw after Mania. It's a big deal because it's the Raw after Mania, but do we just keep calling it the Raw after Mania? Like it's almost like a secondary pay-per-view.
Yeah, the way that I look at the WWE's calendar, right, is Mania to Mania. Like they're not a January to December fiscal year.
No, their fiscal year is Mania to Mania as opposed to having a calendar year from like January to December. And I actually start the road to WrestleMania at SummerSlam. Realistically, you start building stuff for the following Mania at SummerSlam, which I think they did again this year.
You figure out who the champs are, they're going to defend what, and you start figuring out who the number one contenders could potentially be and start those feuds. So I'm with you. But great question, Christian. Thank you. Thank you for supporting the show. Everyone else, please keep sending in those questions. I love saying the word mailbag. So send them in. We'll answer those every time you guys send through.
You know what I think we should do next time? Perhaps drink some tea while going over the mailbag, because then it could be teabag.
Scarps. Didn't you have somewhere else to be?
Yeah, I do actually, in the garage. But, here I
am. Everyone who listens to the show, thank you. Again, Christian, thank you for sending in for the question. anyone who is looking to send us in stuff, we obviously all the links will be in the description below. We have a new info at stillariat.com. That is where we are accepting all questions, but also all of our emails will be on there as well. If you want to ask
an
us
email.
directly, he does have an email. I feel bad giving him that type of power, but we did it. Other than that, guys, Scarps, thank you for getting in with us. We missed you last week. We needed your jokes. I hate your jokes, but we needed them.
Well, listen, boys, you know that's what I'm here for, and I appreciate you guys sneaking me in on this one. So awesome.
As always, this has been another awesome episode. We will see everyone next week. Boys, have a good one.
Have a good all.